Buenos días, buenas tardes. Vamos a dar inicio a esta mesa 2 que tiene como título Oportunidades y desafíos comerciales en la desintegración global. Nos está acompañando Sebastián, Sterzer y colegas del exterior. So now we beginning this round 2, trade opportunities and challenges in the global disintegration. And this opportunity we have two colleagues from foreign universities who are joining in this round. Sebastián, please, it's your turn. You can introduce them to all the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Gustavo. Thank you, everyone. Hello again for those who were joining before. So yes, this is the round number 2, opportunities and business challenges in global disintegration. And for this opportunity, we have two colleagues, two speakers from Vietnam, from our brother country from Vietnam, as I like to say always. So we have first, in this order, I'm sorry, guys, if my pronunciation is not so good of the names, but I try my best. We have Dung Viet, yes, and then also we have Tuan Tao. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I start first with the introduction for the audience of the first speaker. Okay, so about Dung Viet, currently he's a doctor's candidate in Management and Sustainable Development at Hanoi School of Business and Management at the Vietnam National University, okay? He has Master of Business Administration, bilingual, it means English and Spanish, at ESADE Business School, this is in Barcelona, Spain, okay? And by the way, he's fluent also with the Spanish language. He's currently a lecturer in education and training at Hanoi School of Business and Management. He was writing on several publications. His research interests are human resources management, Generation Z, and job security, among others. The title of his presentation is Post-COVID-19 Economy of Vietnam, Generation Z, Opportunities and Challenges for Argentinian Enterprises. It sounds very good, your presentation. So please, the time is yours. You have 30 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you, Sebastián, for inviting me or us, right, to attend this event. I'm very, this is my honor to be here, right, to present about my country. So, as you mentioned, this is my paper. It's about the post-COVID-19 economy in Vietnam, Generation Z, and the opportunities and challenges for Argentinian enterprises. Give me a second, please. I need to put full screen. Okay, so this is the agenda of today. This is my background, right? So yeah, as you mentioned, I did spend like 7 years in Cuba, and then I worked in Singapore for 3 years, and then I went to Spain to do my MBA, right? And after that, I had a chance to join an oil and gas project. 6 years in Venezuela, so I really love the the Hispanic culture and the language as well. That's one of the reasons why I am with Sebastián and Gustavo today, right, to share about my country to the Argentinian people. So before I start to talk about Vietnam, I would like you guys to understand a little bit of Southeast Asia, right, in case you haven't known yet. So in this slide, you can see Vietnam in the purple color. We have like the neighbors countries over here, which is Myanmar, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, and in the north, which is not in this map, it's just China, right? A very big country, and that everybody should know about it. So some of the important details of Vietnam, the area is like 300,000 kilometers square, and the population is around 100 million people. So Argentina is like 9 times bigger than Vietnam, but we are more crowded than you guys. We are like 100 millions, and I believe that the population of Argentina is around 60 or 67, right? Okay, we speak in Vietnam, we speak Vietnamese. That's one of the very big difference from the South American countries, where most of you guys speak Spanish, with the exception of Brazil, who speaks Portuguese, right? In our region, each of the countries has their own language, like Vietnamese for the case of Vietnam, Bahasa for the case of Indonesia, Thai for the case of Thailand, for example, right? So it would be a barrier for you guys when you come to our region to do business. In this picture, you can see the 5 important cities of Vietnam. So the first one is Hanoi, which is the capital. I live here, and then next to it is is Ho Chi Minh City, right? This is like I would say the most commercial cities of Vietnam. So when foreign companies want to go to Vietnam to explore and look for opportunities, they often come to Ho Chi Minh City, right? They find opportunities. They want to study Vietnam first, and then they would go to some other cities such as Hanoi, Hải Phòng, Cần Thơ, or Da Nang, as you can see in this slide. All right. So in this slide, we can see the different economic clusters of Vietnam. Again, in the south, right? And as I mentioned earlier, it's more commercial, more industrialized. There are more activities, okay, as compared to the north. Okay, and Vietnam has the economy of Vietnam is pretty open. It means that we rely a lot on import and export activities with the other foreign countries. In terms of ranking, we are 5th in Asia and 20th in the world, right? In terms of economic openness. And in this slide, you can see the exports and imports activities of our country. So today I just read news, right, saying that Samsung, for example, 60% of the Samsung production that they're selling all over the world are produced from Vietnam, in Vietnam, right? Made in Vietnam. So that's the reason why you can see phone and parts, electronic devices, occupy a large part of our export activities. Okay, in this graph, what we can see is the growth of our GDP from 2018, right? And also the projection from this year to 2028 done by Statista. As you can see, we have an average of GDP growth of like around 5% to 7% per year, and I think it's pretty high in the world, right? So it is a pretty high rate. And in 2020 and 21, the rate went down to 2.8% and 2.5% due to the pandemic, as any other countries in this world. For this year, 2033, it is estimated by our government, it is our objective actually to achieve 6.5%. And for the IMF, they also, they only think that we can do around 5.8% only, but we are still trying. Okay, so this is the current situation of, of Vietnam after the pandemic. I think there are 2 things that we have done pretty well, which is maintaining a pretty low rate of unemployment, right? As you can see in this graph, roughly 2%. It went up a little bit in 2021 to 4%, but then it went down again. And in terms of inflation, we have managed to maintain it, to actually keep it low. I understand that at the moment, Argentina is suffering a pretty high inflation rate of around 131% this year, right? So I understand how bad it is, because I lived in Venezuela for the last, for 6 years during the hyperinflation period. So I understand it is very hard, tough time. and takes time to recover from that. Well, those are the good things that we have done. Right? On this small table, you can see that we really have an inflated real estate market, right? At the moment, the real estate market is still frozen. It means that, you know, like there are actually no activities, and we are trying to unfreeze it to have, you know, to have the real estate companies, which is very important because it is around 22% of our GDP. The import and export activities of our country have fallen down as well, as you can see. 20% for import and 70.1% for export, right? The GDP in the first quarter of 2023 has been only 3%, which is the second lowest since 2011. Okay, thanks to the pandemic. Okay, and there's another bad news, which is for the first time ever, we have got more closed business than newly registered. Okay, and of course, it takes time for us to change that. What we have done to overcome it. So we have normalized, you know, all the activities, you know, because we had social isolation during a pandemic as well. We only started to normalize everything in the second quarter of 2022. I think the government has done a pretty good job. The vaccination rate of Vietnam is pretty high, as you can see here. 82%, right, for those from 18 years old and above. And this is the third shot, not the first shot, right? And apart from that, what we have done is to implement different types of policies to, you know, improve the economy. For example, monetary policy. Our central bank has reduced the interest rate 4 times this year, and you know, the Fed from the States hasn't reduced yet. The European banks have not reduced the interest rate yet, right? But we have done that for 4 times, and we are waiting for the 5th one. But I think it will not happen very, very soon. It should be something like, you know, in the last quarter of this year. We have also implemented fiscal policy. We reduced the value-added tax from 10% to 8% to help the companies to sell their products and services. This will be valid from the 1st of July to the end of this year. The government also encouraging public investment. This year we have invested like 30 billion of the US dollars to improve our infrastructure. And I think that there's a very important achievement here, which is the FDI attraction. Okay, so in 2022, the amount of FDI that came to Vietnam was record high, as you can see in the slide. And as of 20th July of this year, we have received around 1624, right? Sorry, just registered for the foreign companies. So we expect, you know, more foreign companies will come. So by the end of next week, the president of the States, Joe Biden, will come to Vietnam as well. And I do believe that we are able to attract more companies from the other countries. Okay, opportunities for Argentinian companies, right? So why I use this picture? Because I understand that Argentina has become very important for Vietnam right now, and it is approved. And it could be seen that, you know, our leader went to your country to celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries in 20th of April. Okay, and the growth, the two-way trade between the two countries has been growing, right? And you can see here from a very tiny number, $0.37 billion in 2007, and now we have like nearly $5 billion, right, per year. But I do believe that there are more rooms to explore from here, you know, from the two countries. One of the advantages that Argentina has, you know, like is the name of your country that is very well known in Vietnam. So it is like kind of the country, the origin of the products and services would be known, right? For example, Accor is a candy brand name from your country, and of course, you know, Messi and the football team, right? Everybody knows about that. Vietnam is a fast-growing economy, a large population here, and we have conducted some research on the Generation Z of Vietnam, who are about 33 millions of people. And I think this is like kind of the target that the Argentinian company should, you know, focus on. Why? Because unlike the other older generation, like the Y and the baby boomer, this Generation Z has a very open and global mindset, you know. So like they do speak English, then they understand about the world. They are green product oriented. So, you know, when they sell them something new, it would be very easy for them to try, right, a new product from your country. Unlike if you sell it to, let's say, a 60 years old Vietnamese lady, they might not want to try it. Okay. Okay, so what I'm looking for, I got this from the slide from a website from our government, and I translated that into Spanish, so you can see, right? This is what our governments are looking for in terms of investment. Okay, invest in the transportation, in industrial zone, you know, like education, healthcare, sport, you know. So this is what we care about in this period of time. So any Argentinian companies that are working on that and looking for expanding to Vietnam, you know, this is some. So you have the information here. What are the challenges for Argentinian companies? I think unlike going to some other countries in South America, you guys speak the same language. You guys understand a lot of things in common in terms of culture. The culture in Vietnam is very different, right? I can show you some of the examples later. Languages, we speak Vietnamese, very different from Spanish. And when you come here, you might even face people that do not speak English, right? So language is a big problem for any foreign companies when you come to Vietnam. Even though the Generation Z, I think that a lot of them speak English, right? So it should be easier for foreign companies. Corruption is still a big problem here. Even the government has done amazing jobs, right? But we still have lots of things to do. Intellectual property as well is our problem here. You can see I just got this picture. If you look at this, there's an Apple store on the left, and there's another one, Gold Apple Coffee store on the right, and none of them is authorized by Apple, right? So it is something that we have to work on as well. The traffic sometimes is not very good. Show you some pictures later. Transportation, for example, we do have cars and bikes, right? But driving in Vietnam is something pretty hard for foreigners, right? And the other thing that I would like to comment on is the working hour. I understand the Latin culture, right? In Vietnam, it's not the same. We work actually, you know, pretty late, and you know, anytime you can get called from by your boss, for example. It's not like on the weekend you can't call me. It's a different story. Okay, so let's say if you have to go to Vietnam tomorrow, what you have to keep in mind. So I will show you some of the important things that you know that you can, like just have a rough, like a snapshot of our country, right? The first thing is the violence rate, right? Or you have in Spanish tasa de homicidio intencional, right? Vietnam is pretty low. You could compare to Spain and Singapore, right? However, the accident rate in Vietnam is very high. So, you know, you need to be very careful when you drive or going, you know, like in any transportation in Vietnam. This is a picture of how crowded it could be, how hard it could be when you drive in Vietnam. Of course, it is rush hour, but it could happen you know, anytime in the day as well. Okay, the language of Vietnam is very different from Spanish. So if you look at this, I have a small example here. Okay, so from the same word, our language is monosyllabic. It's not like Spanish is, you know, polysyllabic, right? And we are a tonal language as well. As you can see from here, I have only one word, which is M and A. We call it ma, right? But when you change the tones, the definition of the meaning of the word would change as well, right? So you have this, ma is fantasma, ma es mamá, ma sin embargo, ma es tumba, right? Ma es caballo y ma es chapao. So for somebody that is new to the language, when I say these 6 words with 6 different tones, it might sound the same to you, okay? But in reality, they are different and they might mean different things. The pronouns are hard as well. Unlike in Spanish, you know, only tú y yo, right? In English, you and I. The pronouns in Vietnamese is very, very complicated. So I have this, like you say yo here, okay? And you can have like 4 or 5 or 5 pronouns that mean yo, right? And tú over here, you can have like quite numbers depending what is the position in the family that you have, right? Whether you're a grandpa, you are like a dad, or you're a sister, a brother, you know, so they have different names of those pronouns. Very complicated. Okay. In terms of culture, this picture you can see a very important event for us, like your Christmas or your New Year Eve. This is our Tet. We have like 7 to 9 days per year, and it usually based on the lunar calendar, right? And you look at this calendar, for example, the big number on the top left is the normal calendars. We use the same one, but then the smaller number over here on the bottom right, it is a number of the lunar calendar. And for this TED event, we use that, right? So if you look at this, this is the TED event of 2022. So from these days to these days, from the 27th to the 6th, no one is working, right? So we have like kind of holiday, and it is an important period of time for us to visit the families, right? This basically very similar to the Latin culture in that sense, right? Because we are more family oriented. Okay, we do have some Western days as well. You know, Christmas days is a new one. Black Friday is new as well. Halloween, Valentine's days, right? Oh, these days, I think I did not experience that when I was like maybe in high school. But now, you know, like people do celebrate that. It shows that, you know, it's like kind of proof of globalization, right? We learn from the other culture, and it's cool. Our traditional clothes, we wear it and doing Tết that I mentioned earlier. I think in Vietnam the woman power is different than the other Asian countries. We have a lot of, you know, like leaders who are women, so it's not, we do not have the problems between, you know, the genders, as you know some of the other people think that we do. We love football, right? Okay, and our women football team, I would say, has gone further than our male football team. Our women football team just went to the World Cup, right? Just now, they attended only the first round, but again, they went there. Okay, some of the food that you can see, lots of diversity in our country, different types of food. If you look at our map, right, it's a long S. It looks like a letter S, right? At the north, you know, we have different types of food, and then in the center is a different one, and in the south, right, the way they cook is very, very different. We do use a lot of rice. We do use a lot of, you know, like fish sauce, and we do not use a lot of oil. Okay, where you can go to to when you come to Vietnam. Just some of the places I want to show. Ha Long Bay, right? A very famous destination, is a Patrimonio Mundial. They filmed the school island movie here. We do have Sapa as well. When you see like different type of choice, right? They are Vietnamese as well, but they are ethnic minority. So they have their own language, their own way of living, their own food as well. Okay, some other places, an island. Okay, all right, and for this one, what I would like to share is a little bit of the business culture, right? So let's say this is very common when you come to Vietnam that people invite you for, let's say, a dinner, right? And they would invite you for drinking beers, for example. That's the way we hang around, the way we build rapport, the relationship in business. And after the dinner, they could invite you for the second round, which is going to sing karaoke, right? We do not dance tango here, but we sing karaoke, right? So it is something that we do. Remember that the safe face culture. So when we talk to the elders, we do have to show respect, for example, right? It's not like do yo, because we have different pronouns that I mentioned earlier. So you come here when you see an elder people, you should show respect to them. Okay, and what else? If you want to give some gifts to the Vietnamese, we are not like the Westerners. We would not open the gifts right away. We're gonna keep them and would say thank you, and we would open the gifts, like when you're not around. Okay, so I think this is some of the important information of our current economic situation. Some of the efforts our government are trying to do to improve the current situation of the economy. I also share with you guys some of the very simple things of our culture, and I do believe that there will be a chance for you guys to come to Vietnam to visit and do business here. And thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, May. I will say in Spanish. Muchas gracias, hermano vietnamita, por tu presentación. It was, yeah, it was very, very interesting, and this is just maybe it's a personal opinion, but I think can be extended to other people because there is like a synergy in the last years, I can say, even from the political, from the diplomacy, from the embassies, like working together, very strong, very connected, and I think the anniversary, the 50 years, if I am not wrong, of the bilateral relationship is like a good moment. Yeah, it's a good moment to continue expanded what is already working on and try to open new horizons. And I think that one topic that maybe can be interesting for us, Gustavo, for the OSI also, is about the topic of the woman working, because he mentioned before that like the woman in the business sector, they have like a strong leadership. That can be very interesting for a future again, like a webinar or something, and even better because May speak in Spanish, so can be interested to compare, find similarities or the differences, and can be interested for doing research. I don't know. That's my.
Sorry, but I remember 2 years ago we organized an important academic event with the Indonesian ambassador, and we were talking about the woman in business.
Yeah.
In the Observatory of International Trade, we have a special area in charge of Maria Fernanda Gasso, who always is working all the challenges and the opportunities woman in business and in ports and in logistics. So we can go on in this area. We can organize and we will be in touch for this. I think it's very interesting.
Okay. Is there any question from the chat or students maybe? In Spanish also?
Spanish? Yes, we have one question.
Okay, let's move.
Hola. Yo tenía una pregunta. Si el crecimiento de las exportaciones de Vietnam tiene que ver si la inversión extranjera de China se trasladó a Vietnam o Indonesia y toda esa producción fue reemplazando un poco el comercio de esos productos al exterior. O si realmente fue gracias a crecimiento de Vietnam.
Yo creo que los dos puntos que mencionaste tienen que ver con el incremento de la importación de Vietnam, ¿no? El desarrollo económico de Vietnam primero tiene que ver con como yo diría, la fuerza interna de Vietnam, ¿no? Porque hay muchas empresas en Vietnam que se está desarrollando y por eso que estamos exportando más, pero también lo que dijiste, y eso fue, yo creo que tiene que ver con la política de China que fue Zero COVID. Eso hizo que muchas empresas extranjeras dejan, como no pueden trabajar en China, la operación tiene que parar, por eso que está llegando a Vietnam, ¿no? Hoy yo leí también que Apple, yo creo que completó de mover como 11 líneas, ¿cómo se llama?, de producción, ¿no?, a Vietnam. Y Lego empezó con una inversión como 1.000 millones de dólares en Bình Dương, una provincia aquí, para producir los juguetes, ¿no? Entonces, como donde yo trabajo, en la escuela de negocio, hace como 3 meses yo recibimos a una empresa china que se llama GoTech, que es el supplier de Samsung, ¿no? Entonces ellos vienen para nuestra escuela y dicen, oye, ¿usted está dando clase a Samsung? Yo soy el supplier de Samsung, yo quiero saber qué es lo que está dando ahí. Entonces ellos vinieron, por eso mismo, ¿no? Por lo que China está trancada, vinieron a nosotros para ver, porque ellos acompañó a Samsung, porque Samsung vino a Vietnam y así. Y eso también nos ayudó a la exportación también, ¿no? Como yo dije, un 60% de la venta de los teléfonos de Samsung es hecho en Vietnam.
Y también quería hacer otra pregunta. ¿Cómo ven a China, que últimamente ha empleado su poderío militar, que últimamente está amenazando a Taiwán? ¿Cómo lo ven desde Vietnam?
Bueno, los riesgos geopolíticos siempre existen, ¿no? Entonces, nosotros como un país más chiquito, entonces hay que estar, ¿cómo se llama? Ah, Viviendo con mucho cuidado. Pero si tú ves en una lámina, yo no dije, pero ahí yo vi como el gobierno está usando en la inversión. Hay un 7% que estamos invirtiendo en la defensa. Pero no solamente eso, no es solamente el poder militar. No sé, uno tiene que saber llevar bien, ¿no?, con los, ¿cómo se llama esto? Neighbors, ¿cómo se llama esto? Neighbors, se me olvidó. Lo que viven al lado.
Vecinos.
Sí, hay que saber convivir bien con los vecinos, los que son más fuertes que tú, ¿entiendes? Entonces, hay más, como tenemos relaciones bilaterales, de comercio, político, ¿entiendes? Entonces vienen los chicos para acá, nos vamos para allá también. Entonces, siempre hay que estar como tú sabes. No se puede decir, oye, yo voy así, es mucho más difícil.
Hay que andar con pie de plomo. Y quería hacer la última pregunta. En el PowerPoint mencionó las problemáticas que tiene la Argentina con respecto a su cultura, a la política. ¿Vietnam tenía problemas parecidos o diferentes y cómo los solucionaron?
¿Cuál es? Perdón, yo no entendí la primera parte de la pregunta.
No, porque en el PowerPoint aparecía que Argentina tenía problemáticas, ¿no? Internas.
No,
¿Argentina
me
tenemos
parece que,
problemas de qué?
no, me parece que en el PowerPoint las problemáticas son de Argentina para acercarse a Vietnam. Por ejemplo, el
Ah, sí, sí,
idioma,
sí.
la cultura, viste que son diferentes.
Sí, sí.
Ah,
Bueno, eso es según mi experiencia, ¿no? Porque como yo viví en el continente de ustedes, entonces yo sé que la gente comparte mucho. El colombiano va para Argentina y habla ahí en chileno también, no todo el mundo se entienden ahí. Pero aquí es muy diferente, cada país tiene su propia cultura. Bueno, Sebastián vive en Indonesia y lo que él ve no es como lo que él puede ver en Vietnam. Comemos la cosa diferente, esa gente son musulmanes, somos budistas, por ejemplo, hablamos vietnamita, ellos hablan Bahasa, ¿no? Otra cosa, ¿eh? Entonces, lo que yo digo, cuando ustedes vienen de un continente que todo el mundo comparte tanto así, vienen a Vietnam y después va a Indonesia, por ejemplo, va a ser muchas cosas diferentes. La forma de saludar, por ejemplo, aquí la gente, si yo doy una clase a los vietnamitas, posiblemente para que me pregunten, tengo que llamarlo, ¿no? Y eso que yo lo conozco hace 1000 años, pero cada vez que yo hago algo con los argentinos, siempre me preguntan y no me conocen, ¿no? Eso es la diferencia cultural. Entonces aquí son más callados, más tímidos. Esas son cosas que hacen que cuando tú quieras vender un producto, por ejemplo, tú quieres vender, no sé, una cosa de Argentina y el cliente no te llega a ti para decir, oye, véndeme eso, ¿no? Y tú tienes que llegarlo a ese cliente para decirle, te cuesta más. Pero si tú estás acostumbrado de la forma en Argentina, que si le interesa al cliente, viene a hablar contigo, entonces sí, pero aquí como no te llega a ti, tiene que ser más proactivo, ¿no? Eso tiene que cambiar y tiene que conocer la cultura de aquí diferente. La forma de tomar, por ejemplo, aquí quiere brindarte siempre, si va a una comida, te brinda 20, 50 veces para tomar. Si tomamos 50 veces, no vamos a vivir, ¿no? Pero allá es como la forma, yo tomo lo que yo puedo. Aquí no, te quiere que tú tomes, que tú tomes. Y eso es, no es que te odia ni nada, sino es el respeto, pero respeto para emborracharse. Es parte de nuestra cultura, ¿no?
claro. No sé si los choques culturales dificultan un poco el comercio, pero de todas maneras si se entienden las culturas.
Sí, ¿se entienden?
Sí, muchas gracias. Soy Lázaro Flores, creo que no me había presentado. Le agradezco que puedan estar acá con nosotros.
Okay, muchas gracias, Lázaro. Thank
Gracias.
you so much, Mike, for your time, your patience with all of us, and yeah, hopefully we see you again in another activity. Let's proceed now with your colleague. Okay, now we will introduce to Tuan Tuk. Yes, forgive me for my
Yes, you're correct.
mistakes. I will call you Duke or Duke, okay? Just to make it easier. So I introduce. He's currently doctor's candidate in management and sustainable development. Actually, same like your colleague, yeah? Same like mine, studying the same.
Yep.
Research interest, communication, mass media, sustainability at Hanoi School of Business and Management at the Vietnam National University. He got Master of Media and Communication at Wee Kim Wee School of Communications and Information at Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, very prestigious university, by the way. He was writing on many research papers. He's currently a lecturer at Hanoi School of Business and Management at the Vietnam National University. It's the first educational, it's the first, by the way, educational institution in Vietnam to have all programs internationally accredited. That is very, very well deserved, by the way. He had experience before working in sports related, like apps, if I am not wrong, Federation Academy, among others in Vietnam. Also, he was co-founder at the Vietnam Hostel, yeah, in Da Nang province, having been ranked first hostel in Da Nang at Booking.com. The title of his presentation is Understanding the Concept of Purpose, a Perspective from Singapore Business, okay? So please, the time is yours. You have 30 minutes. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, good evening from Hanoi. I thought at the first I have 15 minutes, so yeah, so now Sebastián says 30, so yeah. Let me share the screen first, huh? Okay, you want to see it? Yeah, because during my college, during my college presentation, my internet connection is quite like unstable, so I will try to see the presentation a little bit, right? So because I got a master degree in Singapore, right, in media and communication, and then at the same time I used to work in like both like entrepreneurship, private sector, and like government. So I think I got like a taste of like every business. So I mean I want to look more about the term and then the academic term, and then it like it's not like directly hit the pain point in like Argentina and Vietnam business like cooperation and such, but it's more like a hit in like to see if like any enterprises in Argentina or in Vietnam have a chance to like see the opportunity within like what they are doing with the corporations. So the title is to understand the concept of purpose, perspective from the Singapore businesses, because the data set and the research was like delivered in my time in Singapore. So this time Dung and me is like co-prepared. So we are going to go through like 4 parts a bit, right? The first of all, like we go a bit like academic review, history, or a review about the corporate purpose, and then the second thing is like we go through my research in Singapore about like how Singapore deal with the corporate purpose in their countries, and then we see some finding and discussion, and then we try to like figure out like for developed countries it's like that, and then for developing countries like Argentina and Vietnam and countries in Southeast Asia to see what we can see and do. So the part 1 is a quick review. So understanding purpose. In this part, I try to like get some literature review going on, and then I try to define within my research about the definition of a corporate purpose. So within the scope of my research, the definition of corporate purpose is just like a statement comprised like it mentioned the cost of existence, the identity for the workforce to look up to, and the motivation for resourcefulness and development of the business. So in a very like a general speaking, a purpose statement answers the question like why the company or why the business does what the company does at the moment. So we have the mission statement, right? We have the mission, the vision, and the core value. I mean, the 3 very common, familiar, and then purpose is the 4th one. So in some literature review, right, the purpose of the company, the purpose of the enterprise, I mean, first of all, in the past they say is to upsurge the profit, but then generally speaking, right, it say like upsurge profit or making money for the enterprise is just like you breathing, right? You not like live to breathe, but you breathe to live. It's kind of thing. So the revolution of purpose is shift from the profit to the maximization of income to like it's more consumer centric, consumer focused, and then it's like booming out like it drive in the business environment. So like what the companies for example, what the enterprise does at the moment, it comprise own the environment within it. The research also mentioned the roles and purpose in corporation. It can be a framework for systematic organization to build a system to work on with the enterprise, and then also from the people management perspective, a company with a purpose can like integrate it to motivate the workers, to motivate the workforce to like have a better internal and corporate communication to serve the customer or the client or the society or whomever it serves. So it aligns with the revolution of purpose to be like a more related to the environment of the business. So this is some kind of like example of the purpose as like why we are doing what we are doing, right? So purpose of Lego is like inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. Unilever is like to make sustainable living commonplace. I mean, yeah, I mean it's the reason, right? They answer that. And then Airbnb, for example, we have people to belong anywhere. So I mean I try to make an effort to like see like if the University of Luhan have a purpose statement, and then I saw it, but then it's in Spanish, right? And then like thanks to Google Translate, I try to like figure out it's like a purpose statement, which is very good. So the second part is like we go into the research I did in Singapore. It's like a very foundational one. It's not including like survey or thing. It's use the open data. So why I choose Singapore, because Singapore is like the countries where I got the data on. But then Singapore is also like refer to a place like the East with the West, right? So it's like the culture is diverse. I mean the people is diverse also. Like I mean they have 4 main languages. So yeah. It's like commonplace in Asia. And then it also like the openness of the business in Singapore is like very open, right? I mean my colleague Dung mentioned earlier, Vietnam is 4 in openness in business, and Singapore is number 1. So given the sheer number of multinational corporations and where they operate, so I think Singapore is a good place for us to like look into the corporate and then like see how they're doing. So what I did, what we did is like we look at like 100 publicly listed companies in Singapore, 29 industry within them, and then the data is collected within like 3 months last year. So the number of employees of the companies, like it varies from less than 100 to more than 100,000. And then because it's a foundational one, right? And then I use the content analysis and thematic analysis. And then because we are looking at the purpose and its communication. I mean, how the company communicate the purpose. So we evaluate 8 channels and mediums that the company can use, from the annual report, the ESG report, CSR, company website, or social media, to the speeches, media interviews, and other means. So upon doing that, right, we go to have some findings. I mean, the selection of 100 companies is not like the top 100. It's like a very random one. It's like we have like 3 to 4 people choosing the company, and they stick together. Just the company like I listed on a stock market, it's like public companies. So just 47 out of 100, they have a purpose statement. And then like just 22 of them, like they really communicated it like publicly on their website or on their public channels. 25 companies, like they incorporated into the mission or either the value or the vision. And then their I mean their area of focus of the purpose is like when they talk about the purpose, they're talking about the social empowerment. I mean, like making the difference in people's life, making the community better. And then they can talk about the product. I mean, they talk about themselves, right? They make a product that can help the community. So deliver the best product and then services. And then we see here like the most number of companies like in my data set. I mean, they focus on the social empowerment. And then they also like the area is also like frame into the sustainability, which is like approach the desire to preserve the planet, the environment, and such. Talking about a second thing about the level of impacts. I mean, a business, right? There are many stakeholders around the business. So the corporate purpose in Singapore in the research, I mean, 25%. I mean, one fourth of them, they just hit directly to their stakeholders. I mean, the customers, and then 74.5%. I mean, three-fourths of them, like they want to go beyond it. For example, to your right, Grab, right? Grab Holdings, their purpose statement is like go beyond the stakeholders. They want to like create an economic empowerment for everyone. I mean, everyone is like way beyond the stakeholders. But then the Mandarin Oriental Group is like a hotel chains in Singapore, very popular in the region. I mean, they just like put a purpose there to delight and inspire the fans at every opportunity. So it's like it's just hit the customers. So and then Singapore Land real estate, they have a very long one, and then they mention the planet and then the future generation in their corporate purpose. So they go way beyond the stakeholders. About the content of purpose, since that the Singapore enterprise using, Singapore companies tend to have the purpose like I mean more toward the public spirited endeavors, such as like they try to like better up the lives of people and then the communities, and conserving and preserving the environment, which is the two previously mentioned areas. So this actually in line with the trends observed in the other place where companies also like taking up the social and environment issues into their purposes. I mean, when we look into this, right, we look into, I mean, for example, the enterprise CSR activities to see like if they're like they are targeting the right activities for CSR or not. For example, Nike, their purpose is like to continue to encourage people to work for equality and uplift and bring people together until we all win. And then SAP, also a local company in Singapore. I mean, these two companies as examples, like they focus on the public, and then they focus on the community and then the natural environment. About the way that Singaporean companies communicate the purpose, as far as I mentioned earlier in the method, we evaluated eight channels or mediums that the enterprise look into, right? But it's like we found out that like just an average of 2.7, I mean 2 to 3 channels are used by a company to like communicate the purpose, and then the minimum channel is 1, the maximum channel is 6, and then Grab Holding Singapore is the company that use the most number of channels, 6. They did it like from the annual report to the sustainability report, CSR, the website and social media, and the company speeches. The other means out of the 8 channels like on YouTube, on interviews, like for example, the DPS, one of the biggest bank in Singapore, the CEO spoke in an industry forum, and then it goes to YouTube. So it's out of the 8 channel, but it also reflects the purpose. And then out of the 8 mediums, right? The 2 most common channels that company in Singapore use is company website and annual reports. From here, I have some conclusion from the findings, right? So I frame it into 2 conclusions. The first one is the purpose is communication in Singapore business. So the purpose is still new. I mean, in my very like a foundational research, right? The purpose as a new developing concept is not widely communicated by the companies in Singapore. I mean, 47 out of like 100, but then like the classification is like wide. So only 22% of them like listed the purpose like publicly. So this also a room for development in there also. And then the type, the purposes in Singapore business. I mean, Singapore corporate enterprise, they tend to follow the global trends of focusing on empowerment and sustainability. And then I can also see like when I do some like word analytics inside the corporate purpose, there's still the confusion in Singapore business between like the purpose and the vision and the mission, especially like upon the fact that the mission and the vision as like they rooted in the enterprise in the war for too long, right? And then there's like the purpose, the mission is what you are doing, the vision is what you want to become, and the purpose is like why you do this. So I mean, at the same time, it's continue to be vision, mission continue to be the most important management tool. But then purpose is like increasingly adopted by the public and social sector, especially in CSR and activities. Recommendation for research. After the foundational one, right, about this, we see like there's room to do more to do. So we can look further into the behaviors of the enterprise. We could look like how the purpose-driven strategy can relate to the rate of growth in the companies. Like if they focus on the purpose-driven way, maybe the rate of growth is like come along. Or is there any significant difference for the employee, for supplier or stakeholders when they're talking about like a purpose-driven companies? And then we can also talk about stakeholders like the millennials and the Generation Z to see like how they adopt it as a new concept for the marketing plan and strategy. For organizations, right? When I first drafted this, I looked at the Vietnam enterprises. In Vietnam, the purpose is not like widely spoken. So the corporates, like if they're not gone through the process of reviewing the existing purpose, mission, and vision, the statement, they should consider to doing so, invest time to do it. Also, they can involve the top-down level communication from board of director, top management team, the staff measures, and employees to create like the ownership of the brand, and then they can create like a concrete statement, top-down for the enterprise. And then for developing economies, that purpose is not communicated, Vietnam, and then like Myanmar and things, business could take advantage because it's a chain and going, right? Because like purpose-driven companies like booming, and then they have more potential to grow. So business without the purpose communication, they can take the advantage by research it, and then try to take a step forward on providing a clear guidelines on the definition and implication, so they can integrate it into the sale process and the operation process and communication process. And that's the end of my presentation. Open for question.
Thank you so much, Duke, for this topic. And I have particularly like a question that I would like to make you, and considering not only this topic you bring today to us, but also your background, yeah, because you were working before in academics or institutions, yeah, related to sports, to hospitality, yeah, in Vietnam. So what do you think that could be like a strategy, not thinking about the export-import products, but example, the tourism, and because of that, the hospitality, or for example, because I remember also the presentation before of your colleague from Vietnam about the sports, no? Like Vietnam people is very like or fanatic of the football, also in Latin America. So how could be, in your opinion, like a good strategy of purpose of any company, government, or whatever related to these sectors in order to bring in together a stronger connection in sports and hospitality in these ways that maybe later we can understand better each other, and then yes, okay, more potential for export, import, the usual international business.
Okay, thanks a lot for the question. It's a very good one actually. I used to work in hospitality, right? I own a hostel, and then I work in tourism industry before, and then I also work in sport industry in the past. Mostly. Someone speaking?
Yeah, sorry, I think there is a microphone.
Maybe there's maybe there's a presenter.
One second, please. Okay, it's already off.
Oh, okay, he muted already. So from my presentation and my article submitted to the conference, I mentioned in my article that in Singapore, right, the corporate purpose is like communicated and used and integrated into a business, given that the company is like stably financed. So because like corporate and enterprise, right, and the industry in general, they have to like generate the revenue. They have to like survive first before they think about like the meaning and then the strategy to like push it further. So in sport industry, actually because like it's the same, right? Vietnamese people love sport, but then sport in Vietnam is not an industry yet. It's just like governed by the government. So they have a ministry of sport, and then they corporate own the events and the things, and then the stakeholders, the investor can freely to communicate and invest into a specific sport to develop it, but then within the control of the ministry and the government. So and the government is bound by the policy, right, and the laws, and policy and law is like sometimes it's restricted the potential for the sport to grow fully. So for sport, because it's not an industry, so we cannot grow it like in the whole. So in Vietnam, we love football, for example. We just like take as many investment as possible to like just push it, and then we try to build up like a national identity within the sport to strengthen the culture for strength. And then for other sport, for example, for high performance sport like in martial arts, for the sport that Vietnamese people is good at, actually in high performance, it's not very well advertised or communicated or delivered to the mass audience. Only the sport that people like, they try to like make people like fond of it, interested in it, and then they try to get the revenue from the sponsorship, and then the players and the product, which is the national team actually. So in my previous experience with sport industry, I try to because we have Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, right? So what I did is like I did it with basketball. So for example, I try to integrate the purpose into the basketball from the start by like by storytelling. We try to tell a storytelling like every kid in Vietnam should like play sport once in their life, or play basketball once in their life, so they can be a fan of the sport. And then gradually, when they from K1 to K12, from primary school to high school, and then university level, they grow with the sport they watch, and they grow with the sports they play, so they can develop both in academic matters and in physical matter, so they get strong, they are well educated at the same time. So that's a story we want to tell. So we build a purpose around it, and then we try to develop like basketball in a very comprehensive way, from the youth one grassroots to a university level, and then to the high performance level. Because of the purpose that we want to have basketball to go with the kid from their like very infant up to their career. So we invested in on three parts. If it's just for making money, right, we just go with the national team. We build it, we try to get some good players, and then we try to like promote it and things. But because we have the purpose, so we try to build from the grassroots. And then for hospitality, COVID hits, right? And then it's the same thing, right? Purpose can make a difference between like, for example, very simple, one hotel and this hotel and that hotel, right? This company and that company. Just like if they have a story to tell, if they can tell like their purpose to open the company is like to give the customer, to give everyone the most experience trip ever to Vietnam, for example. If they have that purpose and then they communicate it, and then they try to integrate their marketing effort into it, So they have a like competitive advantage over the other ones, which is like, for example, there's another company, they just focus on like running the ads, running the digital ad on Facebook ad onto the region of Argentina or Myanmar or Brunei. So to capture to capture the tourists from there, but then with the purpose and the storytelling, right? And then the story is more stable and then more sustainable.
Okay, thank you so much, Duke, for this very deeply answer. Thank you so much. Okay, okay, Gustavo.
Yes. No, we have no question here. So if you agree, we go on with the last presentation.
Yes, please. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Duke. Thank you so much.
It's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure to announce the last presentation. It has two speakers. One is Mr. Mohamed Koshami Rohim. He's currently studying the management program at the Faculty of Economic and Business at Natali Hulama Islamic University in Jepara. He has interest in management of fashion. He was writing and analyzing the latest innovation in several academic competitions, national and international. And the other speaker is a friend of the house and a friend of mine is Sebastián Sterzer, graduated in International Trade from National University of Wuhan, member and researcher of the International Trade Observatory, director of the International Business Consulting, PT Dream Destination Solution in Indonesia. He's invited to give several lectures at universities in Indonesia, Southeast Asia, Colombia, and Mexico. And this presentation is titled Export of Furniture from Jepara, Indonesia. So the turn is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Gustavo. So now it's time to change the version now, like a speaker, and actually the idea is to make a very short introduction, and then my colleague from Indonesia, Khusni, he will explain in English some of the slides. The idea is very short, actually. It's not going to take a long time. And the purpose is just to tell you the story maybe of Jepara. Jepara is a city located in the central Java province, in the center of Java Island. Java Island is the most important from the population because it's the highest concentration of the population is located there, and also because of the socio-economic development. And Jepara is very famous, not only in Indonesia, but also in other countries in the world, because of the production of furniture and also decoration items, especially using wood, okay, from different types of wood, because they have a lot of natural resources, a lot of trees, by the way. So they are taking the raw materials to produce furniture for the local market and also for export. And this is helping, of course, the community, the local community, because of the employment, because the possibility to meet the requirements from another countries. So it's a good opportunity to, example, understand the English, no, the English language and another benefits. So the idea is to share a presentation, some statistics, and maybe, and try to tell you something about this from the practical also, because I am connected with this city because of the business also. I am sharing a presentation right now before introducing to Khusni. I want to make sure.
Hello.
Okay, so Khusni, hello. Good night, Khusni.
Good night.
Yes, good night from Indonesia.
From
okay,
Indonesia
so,
is night. Okay.
Yes, it's night in Indonesia. It's morning in Argentina, morning in Latin America. Okay, so we start with the presentation, Khusni. So silahkan ya.
Yes.
So please.
Okay, good evening, all of friends who are in Indonesia. Hello, everyone. Okay, I will start the presentation this time. The title is Jepara Furniture Export. Jepara is a city. Introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Khusni Rohim. I'm from UNLu Jepara, Indonesia. And my friend Sebastián Sterzer from Argentina. Jepara city is a city in province of Central Java, Indonesia. Jepara is on the north coast of Java, northeast of Semarang, capital city of the province, with a population of 81 81,920 as of May of 2022. Jepara is known for the art of Japanese teak wood carving, as well as being the site of the birth of Kartini, a pioneer in the area of women's rights for Indonesian. Due to the geographical location and the quality is the magnetic wood was put in Jepara. It should that in Jepara you can also find textile, footwear, and agricultural products, among others. But without doubt, furniture occupies main place in socio-economic activity. History of Indonesian furniture. Indonesia is famous for its various kind of unique furniture with various carving model. Not only that, Indonesia also has vast forests which make it easiest for furniture entrepreneur. Indeed, at the beginning, the entire of furniture in Asia was slightly different from furniture in Europe. What makes the two different is in terms of shapes. Asia does have its own style and shape of furniture, although sometimes they are carving are slightly similar to European furniture. Of course, because it was influencing during the colonialism period. The development of the furniture or furniture industry in Indonesia is very stable. Since long ago, furniture in Indonesia has never experienced a drastic decline. This is what makes people want to become furniture entrepreneur. In fact, the Jepara have been 3,015 and 39 production unit of furniture production unit of furniture companies recorded by the industry service. The government said the development of the furniture industry in Indonesia has made significant progress, starting at home and even abroad. The estimated export value is about $1.8 billion. This is fantastic value. Makes the government really appreciate the furniture company in Indonesia. The following is the development of furniture from time to time. Okay. The following is the statistic of furniture export in Indonesia. You can see that, okay. Indonesian furniture export value will decline in 2022. Based on BPS data, the value of Indonesian furniture export is about $2.47 million or 36.34 billion rupiah. exchange rates 14,716 rupiah per dollar in 2022. This value is down about 2.3% compared to the previous year, which was $2.53 million or 37.2 billion rupiah. Meanwhile, the volume of furniture export from Indonesia was 524.83 tons in 2022. This number also declared by 11.9% compared to 2021, which amounted to 595.9 tons. Meanwhile, Indonesia exported the most furniture to the United States with a value of $1.34 million in 2022. Japan is the second destination for furniture export with a value $165.992. The value of Indonesian furniture export to the Netherlands was recorded $160.057. And then domestic furniture export to Belgium and Australia amounted to $91,201 and $88,873 respectively. Launchingbusiness.com, the decline in furniture export last year was impact of the global economic instability. This also has several export destination countries for the furniture industry, such as the United States and Europe. To overcome this problem, the Ministry of Industry will encourage furniture export performance. This includes raw material issues related to the timber verification and legality system or SVLK. In addition, the government will encourage the expansion of furniture export. They will later be financed by the Indonesian Export Financing Agency or LVEA. Furniture production statistics. That is the furniture production. The furniture industry will grow 8.16 in 2023 to 2021. The growth in the performance of the furniture industry reserves the situation in 2020, which was corrected by 3.36%. The Central Statistics Agency or BPS noted that gross domestic product or GDP at constant price or ADHK for the furniture industry was 29 and 39 trillion rupiah in 2021. This is value grew 8.16% compared to the previous year or year-on-year or YOY, which was 22.17 trillion rupiah. This growth reverses the situation in 2020 where the furniture industry had to contract 3.8% 36%. This decrease occurred due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the Minister of Industry, Agus Gumiwangkas Kartasasmita, assessed that the growth of the furniture industry was due to the significant shift or reorganization of the people's household spending. During the pandemic, spending on entertainment, tourism, and transportation turned into the need organization on renovated home. The demand for furniture is also increasing along the construction and renovation of hotels. In addition, Indonesian Furniture and Handicraft Industry Association, or HIMKI, said demand for export had jumped sharply. Based on HIMKI record, the export value reaches $3.14 billion in January to November 2021. This value rose 28.93% from 2020, realized of $2.43 billion. Furniture company in Indonesia. Okay, you can see that in the furniture industry sector, currently there are 1,114 companies spread across various regions of Indonesia, with a total production capacity of 2.9 million tons per year and a total workforce of 143,119 people. Okay, the opportunities and challenges in the furniture manufacturing industry. The online furniture market is expected to grow at CAGR of 10.6% from 2021 to 2028, driven by increasing internet penetration and rising demand for home decor and furnishing, source Allied Market Research. The global furniture manufacturing market is projected to grow at the CAGR of 3.8% from 2021 to 2028, driven by increasing demand for eco-friendly and sustainable furniture products. Source for Tuan Business Insight. The use of automation and robotics in furniture manufacturing is expected to grow at a CAGR of 9.9% from 2020 to 2027, driven by increasing demand for high-quality, customizable furniture products. Source Research and Market. The lack of skilled labor is major challenge for the furniture manufacturing industry, with the survey finding 87% of manufacturers report difficulty in finding skilled workers. Source National Product Association. I think that is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Khusni. Terima kasih banyak ya.
Okay. Sama-sama.
Yes. Yeah. So this was a presentation that Khusni was made actually for us with my company in order to tell you the story of Jepara and generally can be extended to Indonesia, the furniture industry. Indonesia is one of the main suppliers of furniture to many countries in the world, from not only from Asia, not only from Africa or the Middle East, but also Europe and also Latin America. Argentina, example, imports quite frequently furniture, like example the tables, the chairs, the sofa,
Yes.
also decoration items. So the people in Jepara, along the time, has been like a specialized to create very authentic models. You can see in the pictures, you can see videos in YouTube, like a very stylistic designs. And these designs are, yes, are very demanded in the world. But from the pandemic, like also this industry was very affected. And Jepara, like a city specialized with the furniture, was also affected. So that's why we can say there is like a challenge for the business in Jepara, for the local market, but also for the export. In Jepara, also right now, in this moment, there is a growing industry for the footwear, no? The shoes, example, is very interesting, and multinational companies, they are doing invest in Jepara because the cost of the labor is cheap. So it's like a very economic and very competitive to produce in Jepara in this moment. And this is affecting the furniture industry because the local workers, they prefer to go maybe to this new industry to make the shoes and not the furniture like before. So this is also another challenge. And also because of the inflation in some countries, example, the United States, also the conflict before and still until now, actually, the Russia-Ukraine. There are like some reasons that they are affecting the furniture industry in Jepara. So from the local government in Jepara, they try to find a way how to create new opportunities again for this industry that for a long time has been specialized and very famous. Example, maybe the digital marketing, again, no, the topic we mentioned before in the other table with the Indonesian speaker, the e-commerce, how we can be innovative, the people in Jepara say, still showing to the people in another countries that the furniture in Jepara is still very demanded, is still authentic, and is waiting for new buyers. So this is all actually that we want to tell you about Jepara, about furniture in Jepara in Indonesia. And again, it's something that some people in Latin America, the importers, they know about this because I can tell you from my experience here, I am meeting with some importers from Latin America. They are visiting Jepara because they want to see the products in person. They want to check the quality in person. So I have contact with some people in Latin America coming to Jepara. Thank you so much.
Thanks you, Sebastián, for this presentation. No sé si alguien tiene dudas, preguntas. We have no questions here and in the chat on YouTube. Let me see. No, we don't have any questions. So I would like once again to thank all the colleagues who have connected from foreign universities for the time and the quality of the presentation. Everyone has been very clear. And additionally, I would like to express my gratitude to Sebastián for coordinating this session. We now conclude this round 2, and we will see you in a few minutes in our round 3. Obviamente agradezco a los colegas que se han conectado de universidades del exterior por el tiempo que le han dedicado y sus exposiciones realmente han sido muy claros. Aquí lo hemos entendido a la perfección. Y también agradecer especialmente a Sebastián por el trabajo de coordinar esta mesa. Vamos a finalizar justamente esta segunda mesa y en un rato, de acuerdo al cronograma, nos vamos a estar conectando para la mesa número 2. Sebastián y a todos, muchísimas gracias por esta posibilidad.
Gracias, hasta luego. Thank you so much.